So far we've talked about purpose in the abstract, but today I want to ask you a more specific question. What do you think your purpose is in life? It's amazing how many high school and college age students, heck, how many adults still feel like they are looking for that ultimate sense of purpose, the thing that's going to give their life significance. The way our culture talks about purpose does not always help either. I'm a huge fan of Disney, for example, but the model that Disney gives us is essentially to look for your one true ultimate dream, the thing that you want to do more than anything else in the world, and then to find that thing, go out and get it, and you'll be happy. Moana, for example, just looks at the ocean and suddenly knows that sailing the ocean is her ultimate purpose. It's her destiny. Entangled. Even all the filthy scoundrels at the Snuggly Duckling have secret dreams, and they sing a whole song about it. That leaves so many of us thinking, man, what's my unique, eternal, existential solution? What's the dream that I'm supposed to have that will redefine my entire life? That's a hard conundrum to have because, as we said earlier in the week, no single dream can fulfill your ultimate longing for purpose. In fact, it's amazing to me how few of us wake up one morning suddenly knowing what our ultimate objective in life is supposed to be. When we start to believe this idea, it leads us to a few common pitfalls. First, it leads to decision paralysis. If I'm looking for that one thing that's going to define my entire life, then I can't do anything unless I know that it's the ultimate thing. We're in the era where we won't even eat anywhere unless it's got a 5-star rating on Yelp. So how can I truly commit to a job or a course of study or a relationship unless I know it's the ultimate thing that's going to define me? The cruel irony there is that we end up spending a lot more time worrying and a lot less time doing the purposeful things in our lives. Even in Christian circles, we mess this idea up sometimes. It is so easy for us to spiritualize fame and masquerade it as an extra meaningful calling in life. Like, if I could just be famous for Jesus, then my life would feel completely fulfilled. But I'm telling you, that is the exact same mistake. The crazy thing is you might not even believe me because right now I happen to be on the opposite side of a camera. And as Americans, we all want to be on camera. But as my favorite Taylor University alumni, one of my favorites, J.R. Briggs, puts it, at the end of time, God will not look at you and say, "Well done, my good and famous servant." What we need is a better theology of purpose. And here's where it starts. At the beginning of time, God stood back and he looked at everything he had made and he said, "It is good." Everything. From the explosion of nebulas in distant galaxies, to the tiniest insect crawling across the ground, to the miles and miles of DNA that is repairing your body right now, everything about creation matters to God. One of my secret pleasures in life is a fresh, hot McDonald's breakfast. Don't judge, okay? But sometimes I get my McMuffin, and I notice as I open it that the sausage patty has been put on there just perfectly, and the wrapper's all nice and tight. Sometimes I think about the person who made me that McMuffin and what God thinks about the work that they did that morning. And I am positive that God is not sitting there on his throne going, that doesn't matter. It's just McDonald's. If the God of the Bible is the God of the universe, then everything we do matters. Rather than waiting for God to show us our ultimate purpose, I'm convinced that instead we need to start looking at the things in our life as being purposeful. And if you look at your life right now, I'm willing to bet that there are more than a few things God has put in your path for you to do. In the words of Robert Capon, a man can do worse than to be poor. He can miss altogether the sight of the greatness of small things. This is why Jesus says, "Seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added to you." This is why Jesus says, "If anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward." God sees us. He knows our hearts, and he cares. One time back in Boston, my pastor announced from stage that there was one more opening on the men's retreat, but whoever was going to go had to have a drum of some sort. Well, a bunch of my friends were sitting near me, and they knew I had just bought a cajón, and so they all pointed at me. And from the stage, my pastor goes, "All right, Kasey's on the men's retreat." Look, I was happy that my cajón bought me passage onto the men's retreat, but I was way more happy that my pastor, Al, actually remembered my name and gave me a shout out in front of the whole congregation like that. That feeling, times a billion, is what you should feel when you realize that the God of the universe sees you. He doesn't just see a sea of humanity. He knows who you are. That is a foundation for life, filled with joy and a purpose that nobody can take away from you.